Okay, I'm going to talk about resource management today. Because this one's a little bit more of a basic one, but I think it's still one that is important to remember because a lot of people seem to not know when they seem to be strong or when others seem to be weak, which is very important in hero-based shooters. When we talk about resource management, that means a lot of things. One, it means your abilities down here, including your ultimate, right? Everybody has abilities that make them strong and make them weak, and things that are good at certain things and weak in certain other areas, right? Psylocke has extreme mobility and not necessarily like the best damage output overall. Like you'll still get more damage output from someone like Namor or Punisher or Bucky, but what she lacks in damage, she makes up for in her mobility and being able to target specific people. Uh, all heroes have that sort of trade off, but they also have very inherent weaknesses when they don't have these abilities, right? She has a very low health pool. And when she doesn't have her mobility, she's at an extreme disadvantage. And tanks, are going to have abilities as well, but they will have a much higher resource of health, right? Health still counts as a resource as well. You can use your abilities in ways to sort of defend yourself or use it for engages. But tanks, what they can do is because they have such a large amount of health, that's a huge part of their resource. They get to use that health in a way to absorb that damage and absorb these resources and attention from other heroes and do it safely while still being able to get healed up and charged up by their supports. So that's the reason why tanks control space is because of the fact that in a basic 1v1 duel, a tank will generally be able to probably like three shot a Psylocke, and Psylocke won't be able to kill a tank very quickly. But the tank doesn't have explosive power, right? It's much slower damage over time in a trade off for the health to control the space. DPS trade off that health for the damage and mobility. So then you also, of course, have your ammunition and stuff over here, but what you do when you're playing these games is to try and use your resources in an intelligent way to put yourself into positions where you are stronger than the other person. So you don't want to just go in there and spam all of your abilities. You want to time them. The difference of making a game, winning a game or losing a game, some usually comes down to very specific timings of when you use your abilities, how you use your abilities, and when you use your ultimate. So I'm going to spectate from my point of view again. I know people are probably tired of seeing Psylocke, but I swear I will do more videos soon on other heroes as well, and so that way you guys have more to look at. But I will spectate from the Psylocke point of view because this is the one that, of course, I know the best. Right now, I'm using all of my resources to get out of the spawn door because of the fact that I know nobody's going to be able to see me. And by the time I walk up to the enemy, then I'll be able to have my resources back. You can see that even though I have another dash, I'm not using it right away. I am waiting because of the fact that by the time I want to engage with the enemy, I want my resources to be back. And you can see that as I engage on them, I have exactly all of my resources back. So I cloak in to try and get a close look at Squirrel Girl here. Now we saw Squirrel Girl use her stun, right? That's one of her resources, which means that she's down a resource and I'm down a resource. But I know that she has another way to reset her stun. So going through this door, especially with her AoE, with her massive grenade shots, like it's not safe to just walk in because I could walk in there and end up getting destroyed. So instead, I'm going to poke from afar. I'm going to try and take the res station down. You see how I'm not trying to directly peek through because there's too many people here that I can't just hard engage without risking dying, especially without the attention, without having a tank or something to back me up. So I'm playing a little bit more passively, waiting for an opportune moment, despite the fact that I do have resources up. What I really want is that res station because I want to get that down early. So once my resource and my cloak comes back up after poking and lowering it back down, the first thing I do is me and Black Panther both had the same idea of getting the res station down first. And now we can start to go for other people. I see that Rocket is isolated, and I see that Iron Man is up top, trying to poke at whoever we have. And now because of the fact that I used all my resources, I get in a dash now, but I used all my resources, so I dash behind a wall in order to be safe and try and build them back up. Because once again, I'm trying to use my resources in an intelligent way. The moment I use up all of these, they're going to realize that and they're going to kill me, just the same as I realize When they use theirs, I'm going to try and attack them. So in that moment where Rocket dies, he doesn't have a dash to get away. It makes it easy to collapse in on him. And because of the fact that the tank decides to join in at the fight at the same time, it makes it much easier for me to add a little bit extra damage for us to secure the kill. And now, once again, I am getting into position. I'm holding on to my resources because of the fact that in this area I feel a little unsafe, so I don't want to use all of them at once, but I want to try and go for a sort of spawn camp position and get the person at the very back. Because once again, people are never turning around in this game. I know that she's going to throw it directly through there because that's the play, and she just used it, so I poke through after I see her use the resource. I knew she was going to toss it, expecting me to chase, and I didn't want to do that. I was predicting what was going to happen before it happened, which is how I stayed alive. And now I just poke, and I dash in, trying to steal the health pack, and I realize that she got rezzed, so I get out. In a 2v1 situation where they're both staring at me, I'm not in the advantage. So instead, I just rotate around. But now, as you see, I used all of my resources, and I didn't plan for my team to not have control over this space. And because of it, I die for it. I get rezzed, but ultimately, that's not what you want to have happen. Yes, the res is there in case you need it, but you shouldn't want to use it. You should, if you use it like that, to me, it was a bit of a waste because of the fact that I didn't plan ahead accordingly. I got a good pick, but because she got rezzed, it just basically means that we traded, and I don't think it was necessarily super worth. I died because of my bad resource management, which happens quite a bit in this game, actually. Here, I dash up. Because I don't have resources, I sort of back out. I forget that the amplifier was out there. I should have stayed out there and shot because of the fact that I probably could have just taken the chance and killed Iron Man. And right there, I had accidentally, I remember that, I accidentally dashed. I fat-fingered my shift and I dashed in, and because of it, I tried to immediately dash back out, and I didn't have any resources, and I died for it. You can see that every single time that I die in the game, one of two things happen. One, I got taken by surprise and and I didn't see it coming. Or two, my poor resource management led to me not having a tool to escape. So now what I'm looking for a lot of times is just finding a target, but also trying to see, like, Punisher just used his grapple. I saw that him use it on this side, and I see that he's setting up a turret, which means that his back is facing me and his escape tool is down. Hulk sees that he's in here as well and has to do something about him, so we both have the same idea and jump on him. The same feeling you have when somebody jumps on you and all of these are on cooldown is the same feeling everyone else has. So it's important to recognize in that moment when somebody uses a resource and if they're weak. Rocket clearly didn't have his dash up, and Cloak did not switch in time to fade away. So now we're just in cleanup mode. And once again, they're now on the run. And I want to get Hulk out of his form early. Punisher's out of position. I am extremely powerful to Punisher, especially when we jump on him all at once. Like in my positioning video, you'll remember that Punisher's weakness is people jumping on him all at once. Punisher realizes I'm there doing the same thing again. I still decide to try and take the play anyway. And I realize it's too dangerous, so I try to get out. And then I get in here. Star-Lord knew that I was in here. This is why this position is dangerous and it's a bit risky. I thought I could get away with it like I did last time. I was wrong. And Star-Lord sees that and decides to try and punish me for it, which was very well done on his end. So his resource of just flying in doesn't really cost him much of anything. So he uses Z on me up at close range, which is extremely smart to do, especially in a room. And now I've used all of my resources and I put myself into a bad position. Rocket ends up saving me here by launching orbs early to keep me up so I can secure the kill. I got the kill, but I only got it because Rocket was actually there to save me. I should have died 100% and it was on me, but I wasn't relying on my teammates to heal me. It was my bad positioning that put me in there in the first place because I decided to try and make a play because I thought it was worth the risk. I shouldn't ever plan on a support doing that and being able to bail me out of those situations, but I'm very grateful that he was aware of my location, was able to help me out. Ultimately, though, if I would have died in that room, it would have been on me. And here, we're just controlling space. I didn't make it up, so I just try to get out. I'm just poking to shorten my cooldowns, but I don't believe they can touch point now. So you see, like, as we're playing the game, I am using my resources in a way of like, do I want to use them to get in? Do I want to use them to get out? Do I want to use them to try and execute? How you use your resources is where player expression comes into the game, right? How you decide to use those tools can be different to anybody. Um, even when people play the same hero, sometimes they play the same hero but in different ways, and that's just because of how they decide to use the tools in their toolkit.
What are we waiting for?
I use my extreme mobility to dash in and cloak in early to try and get an early advantage positioning.
This should keep me safe.
Hulk using his health as a resource. You see how he jumps in, takes a bunch of focus fire, and then jumps out. He's using his health as a resource in order to create space and then also charge his support ults. And I see the Punisher out of position. I know he doesn't have a right click, so I know I can immediately jump on him. I see the res station. I try to dash in immediately to try and get it down, but I don't in time. And now I am just trying to play somewhat safe because of the fact that I have low resources. I am strongest when these are full. I am, weakest when they're gone. So here I back up because of the fact that I have low health and I don't have super powerful resources on me at the moment. I ult at probably a bad time, thinking I could kill like maybe the Thor or something early. I'm getting shot and I don't know from which direction, so I get confused. I go in, I grab health, and I come back out, and I know that she's chasing me, so I turn back around to take the fight and take her by surprise. She uses her ult, which pretty much cleans up the team. I jump away. Once again, I have zero resources. I know I only have a right click, and I'm going to die if I don't do something. So I do a quick 180 to grab a bit of shield, and I try to grab the health back so I can stay in the fight longer. And Hulk realizes that, takes the in-game resource away from me, and then kills me for it, which was extremely well done on his part. Like, he saw me, and I knew that he was planning to chase. I knew that I was not going to be able to live, so I was going to use my right click in order to stay alive. He saw what my plan was ahead of time, predicted what I was going to do, and then instead of focusing on just doing damage trying to kill me, he leaped over me to take it away and then kill me, which was extremely well played on his part. I honestly didn't even think he had time to make that jump. So here, once again, this is also the reason why I spawn camp, by the way, because many people are using their abilities immediately out of spawn in order to try and get back to the point faster. And I know that they're going to do that, so I get to a position where I know they're going to be because they won't have their resources, and they're very easy to kill. If I was an enemy Psylocke and I was around this corner and I knew that the other Psylocke was coming in, I would have immediately had this huge advantage on them, and it would have been an easy kill. So here, Rocket places down the infinite ammo resource, so it's just plain safe. Thor overextends. Here I'm going on the flank, and I mess up. I don't have health. I'm struggling to sort of get picks this game as they just have a lot of attention on me. I'm getting shot by Psylocke, and I realize it. We're fighting, and we get blocked off. Once I hear the amplifier go up, I get in there, try and do some damage. I realize that Psylocke had dashed to the side, and because of the fact that she had been in the fight longer, I knew that she probably didn't have another dash or didn't have her cloak. Generally speaking, when people have been in the fight a fair amount of time, they've probably used their resources. Here we can kill even the tanks. There's Rocket. He's going to dash if he's got it. Yep, there's the dash, so I start chasing him. There's the other dash, so I know he doesn't have another one. I'm trying to kill him, but he's grabbing every one of the freaking health packs. He's going to heal himself. He's going to have another dash, and then this Hulk is going to come by and kill me, and I just get nothing done. It was very well played by the Rocket in terms of like staying alive. This is why I think Rocket deserves more credit. You need people who can stay alive, uh, because the longer you're alive, the more resources you could pull, the more you can help your team. And during that time, he stayed alive, built his ult, and got it back up. So now I'm looking for a location of uh to attack someone. I should have just gone on the Punisher right there. I didn't even see his health got to half. I'm trying to execute him in the back. I have way too much attention. I realize I can't get up there from there. And I have once every single time I get low on my resources, I back out. I'm like, I don't think I can use my resources to get an execute. There's too many people here. I have to regroup. I get saved by my Magneto, which was really good on his part. And now, once again, looking for a place to execute. I dash in, and normally I wouldn't want to do that because of the fact that once I dash in, I wouldn't have anything else. All I had was my cloak and my right click. And the reason why I did it was because I saw Strange ult and I knew that I needed to follow up on it quickly in order for us to get any sort of possibility of a lead, especially because of the fact that we are struggling so hard. So I dashed in, but the moment that Psylocke ulted, I had to cloak and get out. And then we died for it. Because once again, every time I die, I don't have any resources up.
I have reawakened. Step aside. Sayonara.
Once again, using all of my resources to get out of spawn faster and come back to the point, which is why you spawn camp. There's 3 people there. I have low resources. I back up. And this is why, too, like creating space sometimes means just pushing people back. Because you see that in order to push me back, I had to use my resources to get out. I had to use them to stay safe. This is why getting a kill is great, but sometimes you could just attack someone and force them to use something, in which case now, if somebody else were to attack me in this moment, I would be left extremely weak, right? So this is why staying alive is important, because when you're alive, you're going to cause enough pressure to pull out these resources from someone. And if someone else on your team happened to come across me, it would be a much easier fight for them. This is the reason why I always prioritize staying alive in these games more than anything, because of the fact that even if I'm alive and I don't get a kill, the very least I can do is pull resources out of the enemy team to make it easier on the rest of my team.
Farewell.
Here I'm trying to get a attack on the Punisher. I know he's looking at me.
I'll take a blade of the bullets any day.
I see the Punisher and the Rocket, and I jump on them, hoping that they don't have any resources. Punisher gets out, so I immediately cancel and go back to the next person. I see that Psylocke is isolated away from the Cloak and Dagger ult, so I dash in. Knowing that we have the advantage, I try to take a ballsier play, and she ends up hitting a lot of good shots, so I back out. I thought, once again, I died because I didn't have any resources. What I should have done too was also pay attention to my support's ultimate and realized how close that was and done my best to stay alive instead of trying to make a play thinking that the fight was over. This round went a lot worse than the first round. Sometimes we're just sort of sometimes you get in games where you're just sort of disorganized as a team, because what you want to have happen is that you find some sort of synergy with your team and understanding when you're taking out resources, so that way someone else can rotate in and attack when you are low and you are at a disadvantage. So here, because Psylocke got walled off, she tried to get away and she couldn't while at low health, which made for an easy execute. My Bucky died here from frontlining, which is a terrible thing to do when you're this close to, winning the round. And here we're trying to then collapse on like the one person. I switched to the Punisher thinking I have to kill him first, and I thought maybe we might focus him and kill him, but I get focused, and I don't know if that was I don't think that was the best idea for me. I should have maybe played safer, but I also didn't want my team to die. I switched to Doctor Strange because of the fact that the resources I would have as Psylocke are no longer beneficial in this moment. There was no reason for me to be able to hold on to Psylocke when the only possible chance we had of retaking this point was for one of us to switch to Doctor Strange and immediately portal onto the point. Since I was the first to die, it's on me to decide if that is worth it, if worth giving up my ult, whatever ult charge I had for the next point. Which what did I have? 59. So I lost practically nothing. So it was even more beneficial for me to do it where I open up the portal and I try to get to the point as fast as possible. So that way all of us can hop out of spawn, stall it. I hopped on, and I think I hopped on too soon. I probably should have waited a second. I thought the rest of my team could come back through quickly enough, but I don't know if it really would have mattered too much, but we, you know, it was the right idea, but we just did not execute on it. But that was the only way. The resources of Psylocke weren't going to do us any good there. The only chance that we had was switching to Doctor Strange and doing that, despite the fact that we give up a DPS and we have 3 tanks. So here, the third point. Once again, I don't have any dash, but I see Hulk is here. But I have my team to back me up. I'm playing safe and I'm trying to manage. I'm trying to manage my spacing and resources. And here I see Psylocke, and now I see that Psylocke doesn't have her cloak, which is one of her getaway tools. I see that the enemy team, I do a quick check to see where the enemy team is at and who they're looking at, and I see Hulk is here. And if I jump down, I'll be pincered between all of them, and I don't really feel safe jumping down there because he could jump on me, Punisher could see me, and it doesn't feel worth it to try and chase the Psylocke. So here I see her, and I see that she has limited resources, but so do I. And I feel like maybe I can get the kill, so I go in, knowing I have my cloak and dash coming back, and I use that area as cover in order to try and get the kill, and then come back out. I don't manage to get it, but I still haven't given up on it, which puts her into a bad position and which forces her ult out. The reason why she had ulted was she needed to stay alive. But it also works out in her favor that everyone was trying to collapse on her. And now with a bunch of people down, I am mostly just trying to survive. I see Cloak was low and Psylocke was going for the chase. Psylocke thought she had an easy kill, but because of the fact that I came through invis, she didn't know I was there, and now she had used all of her resources in order to chase, and I am able to execute her for it. And now I'm seeing that I don't really want to pay attention to Hulk. There's other people I could get because I have my ultimate. I managed to execute the cloak, and now I'm looking for my next squishy target, which happens to be Punisher. And now I see the rocket, and I'm trying to get him because the rocket is the one who's going to stall this point out. And if my aim was better, he would have been dead much sooner. This rocket is very slippery, though. That lightning bolt means that she pressed E, and now the area around her is dangerous and much scarier, and I get bursted because of the fact that I have a very low amount of health. That lightning there. So immediately I back up and I start to use my distance. You don't have to play every hero in order to climb in the game, in order to do well. You just need to have a basic understanding of the threat range of each of the abilities and what's a threat to you, and whether it would be beneficial to try and make a risky play or whether it would be more beneficial to back out and give it a second and then re-engage. For Storm, it is more beneficial for me to back out and give it a second in that moment and then re-engage afterwards, or at the very least just poke from afar. Once again, I see the Punisher has infinite ammo, so I'm not making any aggressive play. I see that my team is getting pushed back, so therefore I'm just going to charge my ult and I'm going to back up too. And once again, Punisher is the juiciest one for me to attack as Psylocke, so I immediately go for the execute as soon as he ults, and I don't get the final hit, but luckily our Human Torch does. And there, I just didn't know where the Psylocke was, so I backed out. We already had the advantage. We didn't need to try any harder. I know it would be very, very tempting here to alt this entire enemy team as they're all squishies for myself. However, I am saving it because of the fact that got um, we already had 2 picks. There was no reason for me when they're already backing up for me in my mind to use my ultimate knowing that we had already won the fight. But I see Strange ulted, so once again, I dash in to follow up, and the Psylocke I thought was going to go retreat back, and she didn't, and she ends up killing me for it because once again, 0 resources. And I die, and Strange dies, and that did not work. Once again, I didn't think it was worth the ultimate because of the fact that they were already sort of like in the process of regrouping. But because I saw my Strange going for a play, I thought it would be better to follow up on what he was doing than it was to do nothing. And it turns out it was the wrong play. I should have just let him die. He would have gotten rezzed, and I would have still been alive to hold and defend the point. Here right now, we're just waiting for time. I'm building up my resources. You see now. I dash away, and I see the supports underneath me, and I force the cloak ult early. I am surrounded, and I'm taking shots. This cloak ult is sort of just stalling for time. I am not going to mess with that. Now that the cloak ult is done, now I'll engage. Now I know Psylocke is there, so I attack her first because she's the squishy. And now I'm looking. Who can I attack? Who can I attack?
Judge, jury, executioner!
I see Venom go in and use his ultimate, and because of the fact that I know that he's using his ultimate on the ulting Punisher in order to try and do some damage, it's not going to be enough to kill him, but I know if I follow up with him, I'll be able to kill him before Cloak and Dagger has a chance to heal him back up. Cloak and Dagger has used her bubble, which means that her ability to stay alive is much, much lower. I would be afraid to fight her if she dropped her bubble and was fighting in cloak mode, but because of the fact that I saw her use it, I know that she's a free and easy pick. Just like that. Once again, once you notice the enemy team has used their resource, like every hero sort of has like main resources that sort of keep them alive that are really beneficial to them. Cloak, it's her 2 different right click abilities of her bubble and her little fade spin. When I know that she doesn't have those, I'm like, oh, this is an opportunity to jump on them because of the fact that they are in a weakened state. Venom has his E, and Magneto has his bubbles. Like every hero has got their strengths and weaknesses, and it's important to try and figure out what those are to understand how to win against those characters in duels. It's not about aiming in these games as much as it is about that resource management and who can do it better, right? The strategy of positioning, where you want to position, how you want to manage your resources matters far more than aim alone. Because there are heroes like Cloak and Dagger which really don't aim, but they can still win games and carry because of the fact that how they manage their resources matters way more than their raw aim alone. So yeah, this is why it's good to sort of play all roles and to play all heroes. And I'm not saying you have to play all heroes to the same degree or the same level, right? I'm saying that you should test them out in the practice range, play them in a few quick play matches. So at least then you have an understanding of just like, oh, every time I use this ability, I end up dying. Like anytime I jump in, I don't have a way to get out, I end up dying. When you have a good understanding of how those heroes work, it makes it much easier when you're playing your main hero to know when that person has got an inherent weakness about them, to know when they're in a weakened state. And I will say, I did another video talking about Marvel Rivals achievements. The Marvel Rivals achievements that unlock credits for you, I think it's under the Heroic Journey, are a really fantastic way to get sort of a good amount of knowledge of every hero. And to top it off, if you accomplish those achievements, you get credits in games for skins anyway. So free skins, and you learn about the game and you learn about the heroes. just doing and trying to accomplish those achievements alone will give you a better understanding of how every hero works. And it'll prepare you and make you a better player when you're on your main hero, the one that you prefer to play. Because then, because you've had at least a little bit of time on each hero, you'll know, oh, well, this hero doesn't doesn't go against this hero very well. This hero, when they use this ability, or that's when they're weakest. It helps you just sort of get a broader understanding of how to play the game and how to combat against other people because uh all of the game, no matter who you play, is all about using your resources in an interesting and unique way, and how you do that is entirely up to you. But the basic fundamentals of it are just, if you have resources and they don't, you have the advantage. So when you see someone use all of their resources in front of you, even if it's in a crazy fight and all six people are fighting, all six teammates are six enemies are fighting the six people on your team, uh, you need to make that split second decision to recognize, like, oh, I know that, everybody on the team is fighting at once. I know the support is right there, but I just saw the DPS use every one of their cooldowns to my left, and realizing in that moment that even though the support is the high priority pick, the DPS is the easier one. So having this knowledge will help you and make your games a lot easier because of the fact that the aim alone is not going to be what helps you win games, but recognizing who's weak and who is the easy kill versus who's the necessarily the priority kill. Anyway, so that's the basics of resource management. I hope this was helpful. I know this might be sort of a beginner one for people, but I still thought, like, with some of the stuff I put out there, that I am kind of surprised I didn't cover this one sooner. So yeah, hopefully this helps, and I'll try to come up with some more educational stuff. I know one of the top priority ones is how to deal with flankers as a support, and that is one I really want to get to as soon as I can. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to that one soon for you guys because I know that one is a tough one. But anyway, hope this helps, and thanks for watching.